everyone, Heather Steves here, and today I want to share another page with you in my newest art journal. I've used the journal file XL1 and the labels, tags, and more dies to cut my base pages, and then you see me, I'm just rubbing my bone folder over the back side of this page that I've cut so that it takes the ink a lot easier. So I want to make sure that I have a spot to do a bit of journaling in this journal. So I grabbed stamp CS132 Important Memo, and I'm just using this really big stamp that's in that set. Now it is bigger than the art journal page, but that's okay because that little piece at the bottom, I don't really need that. So I'm just going to stamp it on some coordinating paper that's from 49 and Market. And then I'm just going to stamp it on there, and I'll let that bottom edge just hang off a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fussy cut out that journal box, and I'm just cutting off the bottom piece there. And then when I ink the edges, you can't see those lines that hang over at the bottom anymore. But I found that that back page was a little bit plain for me. I wanted it to match a little bit better. So I grabbed out stamp CS170 Words and Layers, and I'm just going to use a couple of those, and I'm going to stamp them onto that page. Now, my ink is quite dark, so I don't want to use it at first generation. I just wanted to stamp it off, and then that's called second generation stamping. So it's very subtle, but when you actually see it in person, it does stand out a little bit better. So I'm just grabbing that other stamp from that same set and doing the same thing. So I grabbed some 49 and Market rub-ons from my stash so they coordinate with this paper, and I'm just looking to see which one I want to use, and then I'm going to just cut that out roughly just so that I can play around with the placement on my page. One thing that I'm realizing is that it really isn't sitting how I want it to sit, so I thought, well, I'll cut this little piece off because it's going to be underneath, and then maybe I can put it on the other side. So I do like that, but it still seems a little bit plain back there. So I grabbed out stamp CS303 Me Time, and I'm just going to stamp part of this clock image. So this time I'm stamping it directly with that same color, not second generation. And then I can go ahead and put the rub on right there. So it kind of blends into that clock image, and I'm really liking that. So I'm just rubbing that section of the rub-on down. They're fairly easy to use. This tool I've had in my stash, it's probably from like 1970. It was my father's for using old Letraset rub-on letters. So it is specifically designed for rub-ons, and I love it. I mean, you can use any old stick, probably like a popsicle stick, and they work just as well, but I like this because it is got a little bit of sentiment for me. So I just rubbed that other piece down, and now I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut out my picture. So this is something that I really don't do very often, but I have seen some of our other design team members do that a little bit with photos, and so I thought I'm going to give it a try. I didn't like all that clutter in the background, and really it's about me, so I just wanted to cut that out. So I cut the image out. It actually came out really easily, and then I'm just cutting out these two little pieces here under the arms, which actually make it look a lot better by cutting those out. So I need to add something else to that page with my picture, so I grabbed CS259 All the Dates stamp, and I'm going to use this little signpost. So again, I just stamped that onto some other 49 and Market paper that's the same color, and then I've grabbed the little date stamps that are with that stamp set, and I'm going to add the date into that signpost. So I didn't want the date to be really dark, so I just, again, stamped off before I stamped and used second generation, and it just blends in better to the colors that are in those papers. So I'm just fussy cutting out this signpost, and then I'm going to add that to my page. Just got to figure out exactly where I want it. So I settled on the top right corner there, and then I wanted to add something else, so I grabbed CS131, the circle labels, and I stamped this cute little image, and then I grabbed out planner labels dies. So these are pretty old and probably retired now, but you could use any circle. This is just a circle with a stitching design on it, and now I'm just going to start to attach some of my pieces down to my page. Since I don't normally cut the people out in my photos, I was pleasantly surprised with how cool this one looks sitting on that page. So next I'm just going to start to attach some of these stamped embellishments that I made, and you will notice that I made a little mistake and I forgot to ink the edges of this little signpost. So I pushed it down and realized that right away, so I pulled it right back up. So luckily I realized it right away, so the glue was still wet and I was able to then ink the edge and then stick it back down onto the page. So this time when I was sticking down the next one, this little circle, I didn't at least use liquid glue, but I realized as I was about to put it down that I didn't like it, and it felt like it needed something else. So again, I grabbed out the planner label dies and I just cut out this little tag out of some coordinating colored cardstock, and then I attached it onto that. So I really like the way that looked, but of course it has a hole in it. So I grabbed out my crocodile and I grabbed an eyelet and I added a little eyelet to the top of this tag, which I think looks just perfect. So I'm very happy with how that looks now. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach it down, and I didn't even bother adding any string or ribbon to the eyelet. I think it looks good just how it is. So my next step was to grab the stamp from CS217 Polaroid Embellishments 1. This one I'm sure is retired as well. And I stamped this fun little hashtag, "Look at me," on there. I thought that was kind of appropriate since this is all about me. And then I wanted to add something else to that. So I thought I have this little date stamp on the photo, so I just cut it out and I'm going to just put it at the bottom. Even though I have the date on the other page, I thought it just looked cute since there was a spot for the date on the journaling block. And then I had grabbed out this tab. This is from CS232, the label tabs. I love these. I use them a lot. And I'm just stamping that onto, again, this colored cardstock. I stamped it on this is double-sided, so dark and light, but it looked much better on the light side. And then I just fussy cut that out so that I could attach it to my page. So you'll notice as I put this down, I kind of move it around a bit. I'm just trying to confirm the best placement for this tab. One thing to keep in mind is to try and create visual triangles, which is what I'm trying to do here. And it looks obviously the best at the top because your eye kind of moves around from the leaf to the look at me, and then back to the tab that I had to pull up and then ink because I forgot to ink it again. But it just helps your eye to move around your page, and it keeps it flowing nicely when you're looking at it. So I still felt like the page needed more. So I grabbed out CS295, the Journal Your Life stamp, and it's got this little splatter on it, and it was just the perfect touch that I needed. So this paper already has some of that distressing on it quite often. So I thought it would be a really good fit. And so as I was going, I realized that it looked nice when I stamped it with both the original ink color and then the second generation. So I'm just spreading it around throughout the page just to create some visual interest. And then I'm going to as well do it on the left page because, again, just to tie everything together and make it all look like it is coordinated. So now I think it looks pretty good, but there's still a little bit of a gap over the picture, and I just thought I needed to add something else. So I grabbed CS325 Correspondence from the past two, and I'm just adding a couple of bits of text from that, and then this is the same ink that I stamped the clock in, so it helps to tie the two pages together even more. And now my page is complete. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and have yourself a wonderful day.